The second podcast that we're going to do is on Hinduism. Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world. It is polytheistic, meaning they believe in many gods. The religion is over 5,000 years old without a single founder. The founders are actually the Aryans, Aryans. They were a nomadic group of travelers. They spread Hinduism throughout India, where now today over 85% of Indians are actually Hindu. The big thing that we need to understand when we do Hinduism is the caste system. And the caste system is a hereditary social class system, meaning you're born where you are. That's where you are going to spend your life. There's no social mobility. There's no moving up or down. The ability to change your position in society is gone. Okay, normally that help in our society. You'll see that based on wealth, your hard work, you can marry up. That's not the case in India in the caste system in Hinduism. Where you are is where you stay. There's no social mobility. We see the caste system sometimes compared to feudalism in Europe because the idea you're born where you are and that's where you stay. When you were a serf, a peasant, a knight, an artisan, a lord, or a king, there was no moving up or down within that system. There's certain castes, the highest class being the Brahmins or the priests, and they're going to be the ones who study and teach the Vedas and perform religious ceremonies. So obviously, they're basically the closest to this enlightenment stage that we want to achieve in life. I'm not going to go through all the castes. You can take notes on them if you want to, but the last one is one we do need to talk about, and that's the untouchables. They're not even considered part of the social class structure. And they're called this because they're unclean. You're not supposed to come into contact with them. Actually, they're the people you see cleaning the latrines, cleaning the streets, so on and so forth. If anybody has ever seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire, the children at the beginning of the movie, those are your untouchables. With reincarnation, or rebirth after death, that's what Hinduism stresses. And each time you move up the ladder, hopefully, if you do good deeds in your life. So everything you do in your life actually matters. This is really the opposite of someone like John Calvin, who talked about predestination. And that's when we get into the concept of karma, or how you live your life and your actions in your current life, and what they affect what caste you are born into. Karma is either you do really good deeds in your life or you don't do these deeds. And these duties that you must perform is known as your dharma. So you do your dharma to get good karma. That's the basic idea. And it creates a cycle, which you can see here. And if you want to take the time to copy it down as part of your outline, that's absolutely fine. But you get this stage where you do the deeds in your life, and they're either good or bad. And all your actions in life have consequences in the next life. With that, your soul is then reborn. Your Atman, or your soul, is reborn again in a new life, and you go into a new caste, or you could be born into the same caste, depending on what you've done within your life. And eventually you achieve a state, and I'm going to put the mouse around it right now, called moksha. It is the equivalent to nirvana, basically, in Buddhism, but it's a release from the cycle of rebirth. Atman joins with the Creator God. So basically what's said here is your soul stops being reborn and you are one with the world. And that this is the cycle that takes place over and over again, supposedly, within their religion. We can see, though, the human rights violations that take place through these pictures on the untouchables. No one is supposed to come into contact with them. It's a disastrous situation. The untouchables are the lowest class system. They are unable to move up. It's a crime for them to marry and move up the ladder, as it is with any caste, but untouchables in particular. They're the people who, like I said before, you're going to see cleaning the streets, cleaning latrines, a vast human rights problem in this country. The caste system rules. You can only marry members of the same caste. You have to show respect for the higher caste. So even if you don't like someone, you still have to show respect for them. To maintain a spiritual pureness, okay? And we talk about suti, and that's when a woman has to jump into the fire after her husband was died himself. That practice is only used in traditional areas of India again today. The effects of the caste system are tremendous. It creates a social order, a very rigid social order where you can't move up or down within it. You do create a sense of identity within this system. You're either the upper or lower class, And that's really it. It determines what you do in your life. So oftentimes you'll see Regents questions that talk about how your occupation is sometimes matched with the caste you're in traditional societies. And it leads to human rights violations where untouchables are abused in society. Punishments for breaking the caste rules. Okay, you can be expelled basically from your caste for not participating correctly, and you have to pay sometimes for minor offenses and stuff like that. But to purify, remember what we talk about with Hinduism. The Ganges River is considered a holy river where you can purify yourself, and that's basically a ritual that you need to know about when it comes to this, the Ganges being a holy river. Like I said in the beginning, they are polytheistic. They believe in many gods. Three dominant gods in particular, Brahma, the creator, being the highest one. They worship their gods in temples just like anyone else does. And their holy text, the Vedas, is going to include stories, rules, rituals, just like any other holy text, guidelines for society. And this is the end of the podcast on Hinduism.